Hello and welcome to today's recap on the FTSE and DAX. We went over it last night. So we opened around here on the DAX. We had a little push up. We had a bit of movement for a couple of minutes, pushed up very close to the upper level. And then we came right down. We touched the previous day's high, the extreme gap, had a little bit of a rejection off that, but it continued down all the way to the pivot and then the close gap, and it came somewhat close. So it came within about 15 points of the previous day's low, so the low of the previous trading day. Now, if you had have held that, it would have been a little bit scary. Your stops at break even might have been okay if you got in right up here. This is about where I got in, around the tops of these candles here. I was quite happy with that entry. Stops to break even on one of my trades and held that. And the market did get all the way down to that previous day low to actually touch it. My expectations were that we might come up a little bit and perhaps touch the R3 before coming down, or that the market would sharply drop straight into the previous day's high. Fortunately, we had a little bit of a push up, and then that's where I got in, and basically the market played out exactly as I expected. The concern that I had was that the market would break all of these levels and simply ignore the R3 and just continue upwards because of the bullish nature that the DAX has had over the past 6 months. So that was a concern. I was going to only keep a tight stop and then perhaps exit the trade quite quickly if it didn't look like it was going to work. Fortunately, it played out perfectly. Let's look at the UK100. So we've got the big volume here, which is the 10 o'clock candle, which is when the UK market opens as well. We opened pretty much on the close gap. We pushed up higher, and we actually eventually reached this confluence here that I mentioned in the pre-market video. So I was hoping for the market to turn back down. We had about 3 points, almost 4 points of risk there. So if you had a stop even at 10 points, you would have been completely safe. However, usually the stops are around 20 points, and you manage your risk in line with the stops that you're using. So a short off these levels, the 3 confluence levels, back down to the close gap, so similar targets to the DAX, and even to the low would have been a potential. Now, the market did track below that all the way down to the S2, so it's important to note. However, once it hit the S2, we came right back up to the close gap before then falling back away. So excellent trading, textbook trading on both the FTSE and the DAX. We pushed up at the open, we retraced back down. So anybody that sort of said, okay, that's close enough, you might have got close to 20 points out of it. And then again, about 20 points off this level as well. You could have had a couple of trades that would have worked quite nicely. Anybody that thought, hey, let's get long off this confluence down here, might have been safe with a 30-point stop. However, with a 20-point stop, you would have just got taken out. A long position into this confluence was not ideal. It's not something that I brought up because I did have a bearish concept for the day, so it's not a trade I would have taken. But for those who looked at that, it wouldn't have worked out all that well. However, anybody that got in at the S2, you're looking at about 4 points of risk there. So anything over a 10-point stop would have been completely safe, all the way back up to the close gap, 43 points on the FTSE, which is quite a decent move for that day of trading if you are looking for longs. It's not something that I'm looking for right now, and I'll tell you why. So over on the DAX, we'll go to a weekly chart. We can see here we've had a big bullish run. Last week we were outside of that upper Bollinger Band. Now that indicates to me that we could be on a bearish trajectory, keeping in mind that you don't necessarily know when the market's going to turn around. So getting against the trend is very risky just as a blind sell. However, these levels were looking quite good for a rejection off this R3. We had a little bit of buying. I'll take you down to the 1 minute. This is the opening candle here. So we opened here, had a little bit of buying. We touched this upper Bollinger Band on the 1 minute. Around this price here is where I was looking to get in, and we had almost a perfect sell. We did come up and almost retest it before falling back lower again. So just being aware for any long positions, we have just crossed the weekly Bollinger Band back down. The next few weeks will perhaps determine whether this is the reversal or if we're going to keep tracking long over the long term. If you enjoyed this video or took something positive from it, please hit the like button below. It lets me know this is helping others. To see more great content like this, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay updated with the latest.